Also here at Ngosi Talk Shows, Find Your Own Voice, Lead from Within. With me today, I have Amanda Marie and Nick Motishka. How are you guys?
Good, thank you. How about you?
So our topic today is discover the odds to the power to believe in yourself against all odds. Discover the power to believe in yourself against all odds. Sorry, guys. And so if you're somebody who is struggling to actually believe in yourself and do the things that you want to do because you're worried of being judged and worried about what people think and worried about the whole world and the society, so this video is for you. So we're going to cover embracing self-doubt, the beginning of the journey of your life, and the seeds of belief in nurturing your inner strength, confronting fear and overcoming limitation, harnessing the power of positivity and affirmation, the art of persistence, never give up in life, building a supportive cycle and allies and mentors, and turning failure into stepping stones, cultivating resilience and bouncing back to adversity, and unleashing your creativity, imagination. We're going to cover this, and if we don't, guys, we can always go back to it later. And also the strength of vulnerability. I think it makes sense if we touch on it, and embracing imperfection and living life of beliefs, spreading positivity and encouragement. So Amanda, when you saw this topic, what was on your mind?
I think we are always our own self-critic, so or our own worst critic. So when we aren't believing in ourselves, it's really that own inner critic talking to us. And so it's overcoming that inner self-critic, that we're not good enough, that I can't do this or I can't do that, or I don't know how. And really all we need to know is the next step along the way. And so discovering the power to believe in ourselves, I think, also comes a lot from our upbringing, and were we encouraged to try new things and fail forward, or were we always coddled and not encouraged to try new things or always play it safe? And so I think a lot of this power to believe in ourselves comes a lot from our childhood, and were we uplifted and encouraged to try, or were we coddled or cautioned or held back because of somebody else's preconceived worries about what happens when you try something new? Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this topic is super important because I know there's some great quotes on this topic, but the one that comes to mind for me is one from Henry Ford, and it's, whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. And it's that simple. We are the creators of our own realities. And when we lack that belief in ourselves, then we create a reality that's not in alignment for ourselves at all, because we're not living up to our potential. So finding ways to overcome that self-critic, to get over those hard times, because myself, all of us, all have those times when it gets hard and you start to doubt and those voices start to come in. And so finding strategies to get over those times is really important. So a topic like today and the things we're going to discuss are really, really good strategies and really good tools to have for everyone. So I'm excited to dig in.
I love when Amanda, she's saying that everything we do, the lack of confidence, sometimes it can come from our childhood attachment, which is true. If we have had self-doubt growing up, or sometimes we have parents that want us to be perfect. Sometimes when we're older, we can start questioning our decisions. And also, Nick, I agree with you when you say we are the creator of our reality. And if we don't create our reality, because we worry about what people think, and then we are not going to have we're not going to have to believe in ourselves, because this world sometimes is full of doubt, is full of uncertainty. Often is clouded, that uncertainty is clouded our path. And in order for us to discover the power of self-beliefs, believing ourselves against all the odds, it can, if we do that, if we discover that power, it can actually serve as a guiding light and illuminating the way of harnessing the remarkable power of self-belief. Because in order for us to do the things that we need to do in life, we have to believe in ourselves. In order to transform our life, we have to actually be surrounded by people who can encourage us and empower us so we can embrace our true potential. Over to you, Amanda.
I love that quote by Henry Ford because it's so true and it is so simple. And thank you for bringing that up. Nick, I want people to think about something that they resist. What is it? Something that you've resisted trying, but then once you tried it, it actually wasn't as hard as you thought. Because there's so many things in our life where we like resist. And then when we actually try, we're like, oh, that wasn't so hard. And I see that in my daughter a lot, where I'm like, just try it. And then like pushing her. And then finally, when she tries, she has so much fun. And it was like, that was easy. But we have so much resistance sometimes against trying something new. And not everyone has that, but there are definitely some people who do. And you see it in children. And you see some kids just run up and try something new automatically. And then some of them, it's like, whoa, I don't know. I don't want to. And it's almost like you have to push them off the like ledge. And then they have so much fun and they are like really start believing in themselves once they try it. I know this is something that my daughter was skateboarding a few years ago, and she started skateboarding, and just like everything was like, just try. And then once she got it, she just like loved it. And we literally spent like 3 hours a day at the skate park for like the whole entire summer. That's not her favorite thing to do anymore, but it was for that one summer. And then even volleyball, now volleyball's her thing, but getting her to go to a new volleyball camp or a new volleyball organization is like, oh, I don't know, I don't want to. There's so much resistance. And then once she gets there, she has so much fun. And so I know for ourselves, even in our own lives, there are things that you can probably think about right now is, what is it that you're resisting? What is it that it's holding you back? What is it that you're not believing in yourself? And that's that resistance that is not allowing you to believe in yourself. Because mine would probably be speaking more on my social media, because I like have this intention of posting something on TikTok every day, and I don't. I do it like twice a week, and it's like there's that resistance. I really have to like push myself to get out there and speak on it, and I don't know why. Because there's hundreds of thousands of people who are posting every day and have no problem with it. And for me, I resist it, and then I forget about it. And it really should be my like first thing that I do in the morning just to get it done. And I don't. And so what is it that you're not believing in yourself? Because for me, one of the things is reach, right? I want to get my message out there. And one of the things that I read years and years ago was that teachers don't make a lot of money because of their reach of influence. And it's because they only influence 25 kids each year. Right. And so really the amount of money that you make is based on how large your reach is. And so as a teacher, I'm like, okay, if I want to get my message out further of empowering kids through their creativity, critical thinking skills, and collaboration, then I need to have a bigger reach. Right. But I'm still having that resistance against it because I'm like, but I'm a teacher. I just have to go and teach my 25 kids. But I'm like, no, I have a bigger message to spread. And I hold myself back. And so I question for people, what is it that's holding them back? And what is that resistance?
think for a lot of us, and I know we've talked about it before, Amanda, is perfectionism. And I think that holds a lot of us back, and myself included. And so that, and it's interesting that you brought up the childhood stuff as well, because that is where that's rooted, is the perfectionism and the nothing's ever good enough, or, well, you could have, you only got 89%. You left 11% on the table, or whatever those comments were as a kid. And then that just ends up getting ingrained in us. And then we stop doing things unless we're like perfect at them. And that's not something that's gonna serve you in life, right? It's you, of course, you're not going to be the best at something the first time you try it, but you have to be okay with failing forward, with just trying and getting better at something, and learning something as you go, rather than having it perfectly, just everything is just in the exact right spot before you ever do it. It's like that's good in your head and maybe makes you feel better when you put something out, but it's that just stops you from putting anything out. And so that's something that I definitely share with you, is that resistance to doing things, because I don't like not being good at things, for sure. And so I find, and social media is one of those things for me too, is putting myself out there and just getting on and doing it. It's like, but my video is not polished enough, or, oh, I said an and an in that one, or like, or whatever it is. And those things, no one else cares. Like they truly don't. It's all about the message and the energy and the intention behind whatever it is that you're doing. The little minor details that you're stressed about, that I'm stressed about, no one else cares. So yeah, for me, that's a big one. So yeah, and I think that's quite common in people. So I don't know what exactly will work for everyone, of course. I mean, everyone's going to be different, but you kind of, for me, it's like getting to that place of just doing it anyways, like knowing that you're in resistance, knowing that this isn't perfect, knowing that you maybe could do better in the future, but just do it anyways. And yeah, get going. We'll put one in, like a small step, right? Like whatever that next small step is, don't worry about the thing that you're worrying about that may or may not happen in the future, or not. Yeah, worrying about not even knowing what that thing is in the future. It's just about putting that one foot in front of the next and moving forward.
I like that, Nick, that just do it anywhere and don't worry about being perfect. And because if we worry about being perfect, we never do things. We're going to keep trying and keep saying, oh, I need to do this first. I need to do this first before I can do that. And also, I like Amanda's idea of resisting doing TikToks every day. Amanda, I think you gotta get on with it now that you have said it out loud. So I think we need to, what do you think, Nick? We need to hold it accountable and keep sending text on WhatsApp, checking how TikTok is getting on and how she's getting on with the TikTok. There's few people actually, top YouTubers, actually, they do live 5 times a day or 7 times a day, and I would watch them and I was like, how are they able to do this? But they're doing it anyway. So I think if you want to do something, for me, I think you have to be persistent, and you have to, if you have a good accountability partner and the attitude of never give up and understanding the art of persistence, I think you can do it. There are some things, like sometimes when I want to do something, I do resist, and I'll be like, let me do this first. Like today, I was like, the website is not ready. I need to do blogs. And then in this morning, I was like, I think I need to stay in front of the computer and stop making excuses and just get on with it. But I managed to finish it. but I've been wanting to do it for a week now. So I managed to get on with it. So I think it's very, very important to actually to learn how to maintain focus and determination, even when the going gets tough. Sometimes we just need that to build that supporting cycle of mentors, alliance and mentors. And sometimes they help. It helps if you have people that can actually help you, surround yourself with people that can uplift you and share their wisdom with you. And together, Amanda, we can get to where we need to be with TikTok. So what do you think? Amanda?
Yeah, I think it is part of that is having an accountability partner. Part of it is making sure you schedule time in to do it. Part of it is that I have ADD and I'm trying to do like 100 things at once. I'm like, oh, I want to do this. Oh, I want to fix my website. Oh, I want to keep writing this book. Oh, I'm going to work on this course. And then I just get super distracted and forget about it. And then it's like, oh, my daughter wants to go to the lake. And so we just get busy. And I find in the summers, because I'm a teacher, I actually accomplish more when I'm working than I do when I'm off, because I want to go and do all of the things because it's summer and I should be enjoying it. And then my projects that I think, oh, I'm going to have all this time in the summer, I'm going to get them all done. And I don't, because I'm not scheduled. I'm not as scheduled as I used to be. And so discovering that power to believe in yourself against all odds sometimes is just, how can I schedule myself a little bit to take steps each and every day in order to achieve my goals? And so right now, my one goal is to finish this one book. I just finished building a course, so that's checked off, done. Now I'm going to work just on finishing this one book. Then I'm going to work on just finishing the next book, and other things like tweaking things on my website or whatever can go in between, but they're not my main focus. And so sometimes when we have something big that we want to achieve, we get too distracted by all the little things around, and we really just need to focus on the next step and what it is that is the next step. And that really, when you achieve that next little step, and then that next little step, and then that next little step, it's not the big thing that's overpowering us. It's not knowing how to get there. And really, you don't need to know how to get there right from the start. You just need to know what the next step is. And that will propel you forward and keep you moving.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think if I think kind of bigger picture on how to start cultivating this self-belief, I would say that one of the main things that you can do for yourself is to start to create healthy habits and start to work on doing those things that make you feel better. So that's moving your body and eating properly and watching what you're consuming in terms of music and media and all of the inputs into your life. And when you start to do those things and you take care of your physical body, well, and your spiritual body and your all the parts of you, then it becomes easier for you to take those hard steps, because you're starting to show yourself self-love, number one, and that confidence just starts to grow. So I would say that's an important piece to touch on, and a place to start for people. And I think once you start doing that and showing yourself that you're committed to taking your own health and well-being seriously, then you're able to take those steps to accomplish your goals in life.
I love that, Nick, creating good habits that can work for you. And I like as well when Amanda says you don't need to know the how to get there, because when you decide to do something, if you make a decision and say, I need all the steps on how am I going to get there, things do change along the way. So that's why we have to create a framework that gives us an idea of the ending that we are looking for with whatever the decisions that we make in life. And then after that, to find passion that fuels our purpose. And then after that, when you discover your true purpose in life, and integrate the beliefs, believing in ourselves as well by aligning actions with passion, and then we can unlock the doors to fulfillment and self-beliefs. Then we'll be able to cultivate resilience and bouncing back from adversity if things gets tough, because when you make a decision of doing something, things will get tough. Nothing is easy. I've started my business 5 years ago. The journey has been a bumpy road, but I have not given up, because that is part of success. Having a bumpy road and people telling you that you cannot do this, or there's some things that some people say you have got no qualifications and things like that. So you can actually do. I woke up one day and said, I'm going to start my business. And I didn't have matchmaking qualifications, but I had psychology, and I studied all that. And then the training came after, but I was already working when I was like, okay, I need to do the certificate of matchmaking, but the certificate is not really teaching you how to do it. It's more like understanding the business wise of matchmaking, which is all the things that you learn when you start your business plan. So some people, they'll be like, oh, I don't want to do this. But sometimes the people that we are surrounded with can actually take away, they can actually talk us out of our destination, and they can say things that we may end up not believing in ourselves. So if anyone is watching, for me, what I will say, the advice that I will give you is you have to know what you want in life and why you want to do what you want to do in life, and just get on with it and do it. Because if you don't, because of people telling you don't have qualifications, or you are not good enough, or the business, people saying if you start a business financially, there will be struggle. Struggle is always there from the beginning, but you just have to do it. Because if you don't, and also there's some people, like they say, I'm going to work and I'm going to do the business. Sometimes it's a determination, and people will be like, how are you going to afford to work? Like Amanda, you have your daughter, you're a single mom, and you write your books, and you actually, you work at the same time, and you coach at the same time. And I think it's just time. If you can make time for whatever you want to do, you get there, and believe in yourself and just cut the noise. I basically cut the noise. There are some people that when I started, they told me that I couldn't do it. But when I cut the noise, I don't give people attitude, because when you give somebody attitude, it can be a distraction. I tell people that I hear you, I hear your concerns, but at the moment it's between me and God. I just want to know what God says about my destiny. If He says I can do this, and if I believe in myself, I have that strength, I'm good to go. As long as I can find surrounded by good mentors, I'm good to go. So that is my motto. That's how I make decision, that if I'm surrounded by good people and if I can do it, anything else is rest. Over to you, Amanda.
Yeah, that surrounding yourself by good people is really, really important, because they say that you are a product of the 5 people who are closest to you. And so if you look at who you surround yourself with and you want to change, then you need to start spending more time with people who are also working on growth and change and mindset, and they will help uplift you. And if you want to become an influencer, then follow influencers and start surrounding yourself with those people. If you want to become a writer, then start writing. Surround yourself with people who are also writers, because they will help uplift you and they will have advice for you to move along the way. If you want to start a clothing brand, then you need to surround yourself with other people who've done that so that they can give you guidance along the way. And so often it's who we surround ourselves with that really determine our outcome. And how, if you surround yourself with millionaires, they say, then you'll be the next millionaire in the group. And so often we just think that we're helpless in our situation, and truly we're not. We always have a choice in every single situation, no matter what. And our choices sometimes are based on our subconscious patterns. And so when we become aware of those subconscious patterns, that's when we're able to truly change, because we start to be like, oh no, I'm subconsciously sitting in front of the TV again, mindlessly scrolling through Instagram, when I could be writing a chapter of my book or working on some social media for my reach, or I could be doing this, but I revert back to this because it's like something subconscious and easy that we just do. But if we make working on our projects our subconscious pattern, or if we make going to the gym our subconscious pattern, then we just get up and we do it, and that becomes who we are, rather than forcing ourselves to do it. And once we've forced ourselves a few times and we get into that routine of this is just who I am and what I do, then we become that better version of ourselves, and we allow ourselves to beat the odds and continue to grow. And so I think so many times we're the ones that are stuck. We are the ones that don't believe in ourselves, and other people see your gifts and see how strong you are. And so often it's our own inner selves that don't see how strong we are. And I think if you really looked at a whole swack of people, I know I look at my classroom all the time and I see so much potential in each and every kid, but they don't see it within themselves. They have something even by grade 5 that's holding them back, that's holding back their self-confidence. And it's trying to pull that out so that they start believing in themselves, even from a young age. And by grade 5, you already see people not believing in themselves. And so I think we really need to start shifting that so that we can teach it to ourselves and nurture ourselves, so that in turn we can teach it to our children.
That's interesting and sad too, that by even that young age, we already have these limiting beliefs and this self-sabotage that we do to ourselves. I took a course recently and it was on that exact topic. And the way that the instructor described it was really a unique perspective. And I'd never thought about it this way. And so I'll just give you a brief overview. So he was talking about exactly that, self-sabotage and limiting beliefs. And the root of them comes from your own love for yourself. At the root of it all, it's you've created this pattern because you want to protect yourself from failure, from ridicule, from negative comments, or whatever it is. And I mean, it could be a number of different things outside of that list. And so at some point in your life, you've done something, said something, and someone externally has, put you down or told you that's silly or whatever it is. And then so you ingrain that as, so what you take away from that is that if I don't speak up, if I don't put myself out there, if I don't do that thing again, then I won't have to deal with that, outside negativity or whatever it was. And so and I mean, this is all subconscious, right? So now moving forward in your life is now you hold yourself back and you keep yourself small as like a self-love protection mechanism to keep yourself safe. And so it's all really well-meaning. So that was kind of my takeaway, was you got to kind of see it from that perspective that, oh man, yeah, I started doing this because I truly love myself and I want to keep myself safe. And to realize that that isn't serving you either, right? Like that protection mechanism that you've put in place is well-meaning, but misguided. Because yeah, you can't go through life never putting yourself out and never putting yourself in another situation that's new, because there's certainly no growth in that comfort zone. And so that was just something interesting that I just recently learned. And so it kind of reframed things for me and put things into perspective. And just to touch on what you guys were just talking about as well, is the people you surround yourself with. Yeah, super important. And then I would say the inputs to your consumption, that is also super important. Like the music, like look at the music you've listened to, your top 5 played songs or your Netflix playlist or whatever it is, and those things, those people are having an influence on you. So those are all things to be conscious about. And then so I would say on the opposite side of that is like focus more on feeding your mind and growing and taking courses and doing new things, and focus on positive things rather than, it seems like in our world, our modern world, it's so many distractions and so much just like crap out there on social media and on TV and in the media and all the things. So be conscious about what are those inputs coming into your mind, and focus on having more of them be positive and uplifting and in that growth mindset, rather than in that like dulling and numbing and just mindless kind of aspect of it. And I'm not saying that you can't ever do those things, because I certainly still enjoy some mindless whatever it is show or something along the way for sure. But what's the bulk of what you're consuming, and start to really pay attention to that and be more conscious of it. Nomsa?
I love that, Nick, when you say we need to be conscious of the music that we listen to and what we watch on TV and stuff. I was talking to my daughter the other day and I'm like, do your homework. She's 8 years old and she's not listening, watching TV. So I said to her, maybe the good idea is to get rid of the TV. And she goes, what do you mean get rid of the TV? So I started explaining that we don't really need TV. And she realized I wasn't joking. I was serious. She goes, Mommy, I'd rather do my homework than to lose the TV, but I'm just going to do it every day now. She realized I wasn't joking. Or her dad was like, you can take the plug off. I was like, I'm not even going to take the plug off. I will just get rid of the TV. Because she just gets glued of this big screen and she can't just move. And I was like, I get rid of it. We can live without TV. Anything we can live without, we don't need it. So I think that is important to what you're saying, Nick, that we actually need to watch what we do, and our surroundings as well is very, very important. The people that we hang out with, because those people will determine how we are able to move forward with our lives. If it's people that motivate us, that brings ideas to our lives, because the cycle is the network. I used to have people that I used to go out for coffee, like, when you have children, Amanda, you go to play groups and then you start making friends, and then you end up like to want to go for coffee, and then you talk about your issues, they listen, and then they feel sorry for you. So I had to move away from those groups, because I knew that if I needed to be where I needed to be, I couldn't get there. And also sometimes you find when you have a conversation with the other people, it becomes like a competition, like you're comparing yourself. I had to get rid of those friends as well, where they make me feel that I'm competing with them, because life is not a competition. There is a room for everybody. And also for me, I know my character, and I would not want anybody else to behave like the way I behave. And I wouldn't want somebody to want me to behave the way that like they behave, or for me to put on a personality that is not mine. And that can take confidence, can take away your confidence. And also, Nick, you talk about we start protecting ourselves because of self-love. It can happen very easy. People, it's like when you're in a relationship, if you are dating somebody who is abusive, you can actually build a wall without realizing of protecting yourself. Or when you get out of that relationship, you can say, you can have a mindset of, I don't want to date anymore. Because of what you go through in life. And also, if you hang out with people that are negative, you can actually easily build a wall to protect yourself. You'll be like, yeah, I don't want to do this, because if I do this, people are like this. For me, what keeps me going is to understand my values and my beliefs, and to know that whatever I believe, if I struggle with confidence, whatever I struggle with, I have to go online. It's either I go on YouTube and listen to something, or it's either I go on whatever on Google, find a coach that deals with whatever I'm struggling with, and just try to start following them. And if I do that, I had my friend the other day, he was questioning me if I am, because I was trying to give away my invitation to Donald Trump. And he was like, are you a friend of Donald Trump? I was like, actually, I'm not. And I'm not actually active fan of following them. I completely invited him for interview. And when I invited him, I invited all the the people, the campaigners of the election next year in America. They didn't reply, but Donald Trump was the only person that replied with the words of encouragement. And then I started receiving emails backwards and forth with his team. And then they were like, we have this event. Would you and your family or your team like to come? I was like, no. So I said to my friend, I'm not going to try to defend myself. I know he on the news, he has negative, is shown negativity, but I'm not going to judge him as well. But if I have a chance to interview him and hear his side of the story, and that means that I believe in myself, because I want to hear his story instead of what I see on the media. So I was able to do that. And I said I'm not going to actually stand and defend myself. That's how I feel, that I'm not going to defend myself. I already know the negativity. And I said, the character that I have myself is I don't judge anyone. And I always want to meet people and ask questions. And then after I ask questions, I leave without even judging them, because the Bible says that thou shalt not condemn. It's not our place to judge, but it is God. By a bad character, it cannot be entertained. So I don't know how bad the character is. So sometimes you just have to live the life that you believe is true, and just get out there, put yourself out there. And because like my email was like to all of them, I'm not famous, and my talk show is not a famous person, but the people that you're campaigning, you will be looking after when you win the elections, are the people that are nobody, just like me. But in God's eyes, I am big. But to you campaigners, I'm not. So are you able to give me interview so I can ask you questions on behalf of those people that you will be? And they didn't reply others, but he did. So for me, I gave him credit for that he gave me words of encouragement to say, no, sir, I salute you. But he was busy anyway, so that's fine. But so just Don't be scared of failure. If you want to get out there relationship-wise, put yourself out there. You don't need to, some people say, I need to lose weight. I need to do this. I need to do this. Losing weight is something that you can do it as a process because it's a long term, not you're losing weight to date somebody. You lose weight because it makes you feel good and it is good for your health. So people will make so many excuses. So if you want to start a business like Amanda, she's writing books. She's written so many books. Just get on with it. There is never the right time. Put it time aside and just get on with it. Over to you, Amanda.
I took a Zoom meeting the other day, and it was a webinar. And one of the things that they talked about, it was talking about learning how to print on demand on Amazon and utilizing it for Amazon and Etsy and a few different spaces. And one of the things they talked about was the ability to fail faster. And I was like, what? And then it made so much sense because they were like, the more that you produce, the more chances you have of something taking off. And so the faster you can create things and then test them and then go to the next thing and shift and pivot, the more likely you are to succeed. And I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. So if you only ever obsessed over writing one book, and you're like, this is going to be the best book I've ever written, and it's going to be the best book, and you spend your entire life writing that one book, and it's a failure, then you only have one thing that you could be like, well, this is supposed to make me succeed. This is supposed to be that one thing that makes me succeed. But what if you didn't obsess over everything being completely perfect, and you wrote one book, and then you wrote another book, and then you got a little bit better and you wrote a better book, and then you got a little bit better and you wrote another better book. And then eventually one of those books would take off. And so for my books, one of them is the one that sells the most. It sells consistently without me having to run any ads to it. And I think it was my sixth book that I wrote. And so sometimes I think, well, maybe it's not, and this reinforced that it's not necessarily about having the best product. It's sometimes about having chances to try things and shift and pivot, and try things and shift and pivot. Because if you only, so Nick, even if you only spent your entire time obsessing over the material and the this and the this for your specific thing, if you didn't have a prototype to test and then come back and then test again and see if people are actually buying it, you could spend your entire life just obsessing over making sure that your product is perfect. Whereas you've got something out to market already. And then as you shift and grow, it'll continue to morph, right? You're not going to have that same design for 20 years. You might have it for a while and then shift it a little bit as trends change, right? Or you might find another better material that you like to create your product with, or you might find a better producer of it. And so being able to shift and pivot and being able to fail faster, they said, was something that was new concept for me, but it made a lot of sense. And I don't think that it is just produce lots of things really quickly that are crap. It's maybe don't obsess over that perfectionism so much that it paralyzes your growth. And I think that's where we find that delicate balance between creating something that is a really great product, but also making sure that we are not just obsessing over that perfectionism of it. And so finding that balance in between of our ability to fail faster and yet also be able to pivot and change and shift your direction is really, really key to your success.
Couldn't agree more, for sure. And it's tied into what we talked about before with that perfectionism, and you touched on that beautifully. And it's not putting out crap, like you said, but not obsessing over every little detail and then holding yourself back and keeping yourself safe, which is, you feel safe, but like that's just a bad place to be in. I guarantee that at the end of our lives, we won't look back and be proud of ourselves for, oh geez, I'm really glad I stayed small and didn't try anything new. Like that's not a thing, right? It's, you got to think bigger picture, and just that perspective that, yeah, you're not always going to have the first thing be the massive success, but just to keep going and to keep evolving and to keep trying new things and putting out new content and new products and whatever it is out into the world, and just growing. Basically, I think that's the theme for me, is when you just stay doing what you're doing and staying on that flat line, there's just no growth in that. And when we stay safe, we keep ourselves small and we stop any growth. And the basically the fundamental building block or characterization or trait of nature is change. And with change comes growth and evolution and all of those things. So it's finding that balance for sure of what, because yeah, you can't just all of a sudden completely change all of your programming and everything you've been doing your entire life in with a flick of a switch, or after a course, or after a breathwork session, or whatever it is. Like, it's just not how it works. It's a small steps. And then when you look back at the end of a year or 3 years, it's amazing how much you can change just by putting that one foot in front of the other and just moving forward. And I would just say the fear, fear isn't always a bad thing, because you can, when you're coming up against fear, you're pushing your boundaries or your limits, and you got to push through that sometimes. Because if you stay, like I've said here numerous times, is when you stay in that, feeding into that fear, yeah, you're certainly not growing, and that's not where your happiness comes from either. And I mean, even when you have that to-do list and you're resisting something, or you're fearful of doing that next step, once you do it, it feels so good. We all know what that feels like, right? Is that like, oh, I did it, and that like pride, and then that can just build on itself and start to really create some positive momentum. So I think that's something. And when you were talking earlier, Amanda, about like the scrolling on social media, is like, that feels good in the moment because it's like safe and whatever else. But think about how good it feels to check that item off your to-do list, or to finish that project, or whatever it is. Like, that feels a lot better than how you feel after your doom scroll session, right? So trying to remember that, it's like, okay, yeah, this is hard to start, and doesn't, like, I'd rather be doing this distracting thing over here, but to realize that once you do that and start to make that progress, that's going to feel really good. And then that will just start to snowball in a positive way, I think. Over to you, Nomsa.
I love that, Amanda and Nick, when you say it doesn't have to be bad, or it doesn't have to be perfect, whatever you do. And the first time when I won the award of the year for my social media, I said to the guy, why did you guys decide to give me the award of the year? And he said, Nomsa, your social media is real. When you go to your Instagram, you post about your business, you post about your journey wherever you go, business event, family event, you put that. It's not done professional, but I can connect with it. I love the story behind it. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. And it was even the judges, they were like, we love her. We connect with her story. But from the beginning, when I started posting, I can tell you I had so many people, marketers, sending me messages telling me what was wrong with my social media, what was wrong with my Facebook, what was wrong with my Twitter and YouTube channel. And I was like, yeah, I got to keep it real. They were telling me, don't post this post, you should post these ones. And I just decided to actually, I followed Bob Proctor. And that's when I decided that I needed to keep it real. The person that I am. Even I tried to hire somebody on Instagram, and when they came to the meeting, to the office, and they said to me, we're gonna charge you £800. So I said, what are you gonna post? And this woman, she was explaining it. I couldn't connect with what she was going to post, and I said no. So I decided I'm going to do my Instagram. I'm going to put the content like maybe for 1 month, and then I will just post it in the morning. We're just gonna go and post it, but that content has to come from me. And when I go to business event, I'm gonna post whatever I'm posting. And people were criticizing me, but now I've got 9 awards of the year. Every time I ask people, why do you give me this award? They say, Nomsa, your social media, we connect with it. It's a life story. When you go on your YouTube channel, it's real. And we connect with your speakers, we connect with your story. Your story is real. So that's why sometimes when we go to people that have created, they go on stage and they try to entertain people, we don't connect, but with you it's just real. So I was like, imagine if I had listened to these people that were sending me messages and saying my post are this, my post like don't mix. Like when I go to a business event, they'll tell me, why are you posting it on your Instagram? And I was like, but it's my life story. I go on a business event, I take a picture with somebody, I'm putting it there. It's my life story. I have to believe in what I'm doing. And that's why I do what I do. And in the end, it's paid off because listening to Bob Proctor and listening to other speakers that say, don't try to be something that you're not, just be you. And I love that character where you go on social media. I go on social media, Amanda, and I scroll down a little bit, but when I scroll down, I leave it there. I follow the people that I admire a lot. And when I follow them, I see what they do different, and then I go and do my own thing. And I think that's the only thing that it can actually help somebody. If you believe in yourself, like Nico was saying, don't be scared of failure. Failure is something that we learn from. Don't be scared of fear. They said fear. Don't be scared of fear. Fear will always be there, but you don't have to be afraid. Sometimes I fear something, and then I'll be like, I pray about it. If I feel that I'm fearing something, and then I get on with it. I know the only way for me to pass through it is to do it. Not being perfect or not trying to be something that I'm not. I just do my thing. The first time how Ngozi Talk started, it was me going to Des and saying, my business coach, and I'm paying you to be my business coach. And he tells me, Nomsa, you're going to have to do Facebook Live to get your business out there. And I was like, are you kidding me? I have never done any Facebook Live, and you're telling me that I'm going to do Facebook Live. And I'm glad that he introduced me to Facebook Live, because now I didn't have a clue when I started. I just turn up and they will teach me. And it shows that the people that you surround yourself with, those are the people that can help you with your destination. There are so many things that I've learned that I thought I wouldn't. Going on stage singing is different than coming and speak, because with speaking, you have to pay attention to people. With singing, I just need to focus on one person and create my emotions as I go along. And that person, people connect with my emotions, and then I'm good to go. I can dance, I can do anything to distract people. But with the speaking, you just have to connect with people. And I think that is amazing. And Amanda as well, you mentioned that we grow because of our surrounding as well. And we grow step by step as well when we do things that we do. Like you are a book writer, you write, you are an author. So that means and you were explaining about your books, how some of them didn't work. They worked, but not as perfect as the other ones. But that is, they didn't work at that moment, but later on, people will buy them, because that's what happens in life. You don't have to give up. You just have to just go for it.
I think that's the key, really, is just to go for it and to not hold yourself back. And that's really how you overcome the odds, is to go for it. Because like Nick said at the beginning, that quote, whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right. And so as we close off, I really think that's one of the most important lessons that you can learn, is if you are going to believe in yourself, then you really truly can achieve what it is that you want to achieve in some capacity. And so that really is just the key, is believing in yourself, not allowing your subconscious patterns to hold you back, and to take steps forward each and every day. Nick?
Yeah, again, I couldn't agree more, for sure. That's it's great. And then I would just add too that don't forget to celebrate the little victories and the little steps along the way, where you're making those growth steps and moving outside of those patterns, and that keeping yourself small and all those things, is to recognize those and to actually take that time to celebrate and to acknowledge that it's not always going to be easy. And like that quote, right? Whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. Like, it's okay. So you have that belief at the beginning and take those steps moving forward. It's not going to be like this perfect incline, right, to your dream life. There's going to be bumps in the road and whatnot, but you just have to stay focused on that initial belief. Like, no, I can do this. I can do hard things. That's what I say to myself and my kids all the time, is like, you can do hard things. And then celebrate those victories along the way, and just put one foot in front of the other and keep moving. And I think we as humans, we really overestimate what we can do in a short amount of time, but we really underestimate how much we can accomplish in a year, in a 3-year period. And so don't be hard on yourself because you're not following this exact timeline that maybe you had in your head. It's like, when you look back over the course of those a couple years or whatever it is, it's amazing how much you can move the needle when you just stay motivated and stay in that mindset of just putting one foot in front of the other. So keep going, celebrate yourself. I'm proud of you. Keep going. You can do hard things.
I love that. I love that. Have the courage to persist. Life is a journey. And wherever you find yourself, know that you'll get there eventually, wherever you want to go. And don't worry about people's opinions. Like Lisa says, whatever people say is none of your business. And that is my attitude as well. I don't listen to people. I know that I am the creator of my destiny, of my reality. Whatever I decide to do, I just go for it. If I fail, I learn from it. And I always know that I'm not alone. So use your beliefs to guide you through life. My beliefs is God. I know that whatever I do, whatever the decision that I make, I'm not alone. Whether it's business, whether it's with my children, like Nick is saying, I always tell my children, like sometimes they will tell me, my friends are not doing this. Why do I tell them that the friends that you have now, when you're 20, they won't be there anymore. But if they are real, if they are there, whatever you do in life, they will support you. That's why they're called friends. Friends become part of your family. They become family too. But if they're not true, they won't be there. So you might as well focus on your destiny instead of focus on friends. And they're like, Mommy, you're mean. I'm like, I'm not. That's the truth. So just do whatever you believe is your to be true about your destiny and go for it. If you're struggling, Ngozi Talk Shows will help you find your own voice, lead from within. You can get in touch with me. I'll connect you with the coaches. If you want me to connect you with the coaches, if you want to connect with myself, you can also find me on our social media. I'm there, and send me a message. My website is not up, but you can still contact me through phone, my office phone or mobile phone or business email or LinkedIn email. I think it's my Gmail, so you can get in touch with me. All my details, you can get them even on Google Map. They're there. So my company is set up properly. You can find me anywhere with my contact details. God bless everyone. Live with grace.